Welcome to this edition of the SoCal Prep Report. Richard Strayl along with Bob Gibson, Randy Rosenblum will be joining us shortly. Chris Ricks has a personal day off, and Anthony White is where, Bob?
I don't know where Coach is.
He's
man.
doing something with the Heisman. You know he is.
You know?
He has to hide that
He likes to
thing.
show that thing off all the time.
Yeah,
right?
he certainly does.
Why not?
All right, so what? We got week 3 now in the books, Bob? Is that what this is?
Week 3, correct. 0.
Yeah, 1, 2,
0,
3.
1,
That's
2.
right.
This week 0 thing always throws me off. The heck we got week 0?
I don't know.
I don't know. Get away. They gotta come on, get rid of that.
As you can tell from my hair today, getting blown all over, we are at the home of the Monsoons. Mayfair High School. In the background, the guys are working out, getting ready for their big game this week against Rancho Santa Margarita. Now, why is Rancho Santa Margarita and Mayfair playing? I mean, we got a giant school out there in Orange County. There's a pretty small school out here.
Well, I give the Monsoons a lot of credit here. They're going to step up, and they're going to play at Trinity League School. Now, granted, that's in a big change right now. Santa Margarita, really in a changeover. Brand new head coach, Brent Wieselmeyer in there. They lost a bunch of kids, right, in the offseason.
They always do.
The quarterback went to Mission Viejo. A bunch of other kids transferred elsewhere. It's kind of a patchwork thing going on in Santa Margarita. So I give Mayfair, half a shot here, even though it is a Trinity League team. But still, that's going to be a tough game here because Santa Margarita is still pretty good.
Coach Bedell here, and we're going to try to talk to him a little bit. I mean, we're in his house. The least we could do is say hi, right? We don't want to interrupt his practice right now. But they've been taking on all the big guns. They took on Long Beach Wilson earlier this year. Long Beach Wilson's got like 5,000 kids in that high school. Then they took on Lakewood, another big school, defeated them handily in their Milk Bucket crosstown rival matchup. Lakewood's a huge school, Bob. They have a lot of kids in that school, and now Miracosta last week, Santa Margarita this week. So they're taking on all comers, teams with reputation.
I like that. I like a school that's willing to step up, play some better competition. They can get better themselves, and you see that a lot more lately. So I give credit to schools that are willing to do that. They're not like the Alabamas of the world, playing the Sisters of the Poor.
All right, Sisters of the South. Yeah, I got you, man. You have to sneak those guys into the show, man. Come on.
What do you want?
Jeez, Bob. All right, let's take a look at the top 10, see how everybody did. Then we'll take a look at the Love Club. And then Randy will be in here with the LA City section report, and we'll get on to some key matchups and some other stuff that's been going on. So let's take a look now. See, Mater Dei continuing to hang on to the number 1 position.
Surprise.
They beat Centennial again. They beat Centennial in the opening game, took a week off, and then they beat Villa Park, and they came back and beat Centennial again.
Centennial, another shot. Oh, a different Centennial.
In Arizona, another state altogether. So they beat Centennial, Arizona, 71-21. They really did beat them pretty handily.
That was a state champion, by the way, in Arizona from last year. And that shows you what Mater Dei.
Mater Dei was a state champ too, weren't they, Bob?
Yes, they were.
Okay, just checking it out, making sure you still know.
71 points, a school record for passing yards in this one, and tied the school record that JT Daniels had as well with 7 touchdown passes in this game. Is there a better quarterback anywhere right now?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I think so.
I've already said he's the best quarterback in Southern California.
I think Mahomes is pretty good. Mahomes is pretty good for Kansas City.
Mahomes can't hold a
And your boy Brady's still doing it. Saw him last week. So there's a few quarterbacks better than your boy there. So let's see what Bryce Young does. Still a long season ahead of us, Bob. Taking a look at Bosco. These guys are running out of teams to play here in Southern California during the regular season. So Bosco goes to Nevada, and you see him beat Liberty in Nevada 49-7. We're just waiting for Mater Dei and Bosco to 1 and 2.
DJ continues to do his thing there too. We're seeing the 2 best quarterbacks in the nation right here in Southern California. Oh, by the way, they play in the same league. And oh, by the way, they're going to play for the league title in a couple of weeks. And oh, by the way, they're probably going to play for the CIF title.
That's right, baby.
A few weeks after that as well.
Yep.
That's just the way it's going to play out here because that's the kind of talent both these schools have.
That's the progression, man. Now let's go into the number 3 position. We see Corona Centennial lost, Bob. They lost. Lost on a good ball game to Cathedral San Diego 44-41, but Cathedral is one of the best schools in San Diego, but Centennial, come on now, starting off 1 and 2 on the season. I understand the Mater Dei game, but I thought they'd get by Cathedral.
I was a little worried about Centennial when I saw them in that Mater Dei game. Not that they lost to Mater Dei, but it was the way they lost.
Yeah.
The physicality that we're used to seeing from Centennial wasn't quite as up to snuff as we had seen in past years. At least that was in my opinion. So this loss to Cathedral Catholic, even a little surprising, but there's good schools down there. I mean, we've seen Helix and we've seen Mission Hills. I mean, they produced some really good football teams there.
Yeah, they do.
In the past couple of decades. So no shame losing to a good San Diego team, but we're talking about Corona Centennial here, right? So
that's it.
Are they still the 3rd best team in Southern California?
Yes, they are. Yeah, I think
probably
they probably are. I agree. knock it off. Randy, just you wait till you get up here, then you have your say.
What was that word?
All right, listen, let's get on with it.
About that.
Mission Viejo beat La Habra 23-6. Really no surprise. La Habra's good, but let's face it, Mission Viejo's on a whole nother level. They got all that South Orange County talent down there. And again, took it to La Habra this week.
Mission Viejo's been doing it with defense for so long, right?
Yes, they
defense
have.
Has been so good, and the offense does just enough. And I think that's kind of the key this year again for them. They're going to play great defense. I think they're going to get just enough offense. And when it comes to playoff time, they're going to be just that much short when it comes to playing a Bosco or a Mater Dei. And that's sort of where Mission Viejo is at. Unless they can sort of get into that Division II bracket, if they can get out of that D1 thing, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they'll end up in the D1 bracket. That's how good they are. It's those schools that want to get away from that D1 bracket.
It's the public school down there. It's the only public school down there that can fight with the parochials and the privates. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Jay Serra, by the way, another Trinity League school, beat Bishop Amant 38-14. What are you going to say? The General had, what, 3 touchdowns, 186 yards passing, made it look very easy.
More in this game,
yeah.
And one of the other top players was out as well. So a couple of players missing for Amant. I don't know if that would have made a huge difference.
Maybe a touchdown. Maybe a touchdown.
Jay Serra, I think as General Booty gets more and more comfortable as the quarterback there, I think we're going to see them just continue to blossom. And as long as their defense can hang in there, I think they're probably the 3rd best team in the Trinity League.
Number 6, Grace Brethren defeated Muir. They are number 6 this week. Remember, they defeated Oaks Christian, kicked them out of the top 10, man. This team's a juggernaut. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I think they would probably finish 2nd or 3rd in that Trinity League this year because it is down a little bit. Narbonne in the 7th position. They defeated St. Paul 56-19. St. Paul was on a roll, man. These guys are averaging 35.5 a game, or excuse me, 41.5 a game, allowing 3.5 a game, and Narbonne just turned it around on them. But remember, Narbonne's the big school with all those recruits. St. Paul's got about 220 kids in the whole school, and they got girls in that school. So, and they're not playing football, so you got about 100
Narbonne
kids.
got another player eligible. We'll hear from Randy about that.
Really? They did, Randy?
Another
right.
big wide receiver that they.
The Patriots, huh? They got Richard.
Trayshawn Holden.
Yes.
Sarah, by the way, defeated Calabasas, and I got to tell you, I love this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a last-minute thing, and I love how humble that Sarah wide receiver. You know, we don't talk about kids individual during the regular season. There's just too many teams to talk about, so we'll talk about the kids later. But this kid was amazing on Sarah. He goes out the field. Hey, man, I'm the greatest route runner in Southern California. My coach saw me and knew it and hit me with the winning touchdown. He's going up to every camera on the field. And then he comes back and says, I'm the best route runner in Southern California. No, the nation, the nation. He went from SoCal to the nation, and then it went to the world, and I don't know where it goes beyond that. It was just
the
fun.
universe. What's funny about that, though, is Scott Altenberg is probably one of the most soft-spoken head coaches you'll find anywhere, the head coach there at Sarah. So
listen, that kid was amped up because he
that
caught
kid
the
was
winning
ready to go.
touchdown. He was
Why
just
not?
amped up,
Give
but
it to him. Let him do it.
It was just funny.
Let him do it.
It was just funny, and here we go, man. Social media has created all these stars, all these great athletes. It's just fun to watch, but man, such humility.
Best
I
wide
love it.
receiver anywhere.
All right, continuing on. We had Norco beating Rancho Cucamonga, so they're now in the top 10. And then we talk about Calabasas lost to Sarah. They dropped to the number 10. A lot of teams lose to Sarah, man.
They could have slid out of there. I had San Clemente as my number 10. And
I think Sarah beats San Clemente. I think there's too much talent in there, man. Too much, Bob.
We should see.
But that's okay. You can have it.
We shall see.
Just keep talking about San Clemente. It's the kiss of death for you guys, you Tritons out there in the Low County area.
OC Bob would have had him in his top 10. That ain't me.
No Love Club. Let's go down to the other group of top 10. It's the No Love Club. Everybody loves the No Love Club, right? These are the schools that are typically public high schools, and they have area kids, and that's all they got. They don't recruit. They don't make a big fuss about anything. They just play, and most of these schools play very well. Taking a look, number 1, Bob's team, Corona Del Mar.
Why aren't they in the top 10?
Bob is an Angel honk and a Corona Del Mar honk, and your boys are in the number 1 position, Bob. What more can you want? They beat Palos Verdes 20-10 last week, all right?
It was a little slimmer, margin victory this time. Only 10-point win, but Corona Del Mar, clearly one of the top 10 teams in Southern California. I have no doubt saying that. They
might be in the top 15, Bob.
Right
might be in the top 15.
I think they could beat Mater Dei.
That's a bold statement, Bob, and I know you're just kidding. See, that's a kiss of death for Corona Del Mar because he said they could beat Mater Dei. That you just ruined the whole season, Bob. You imploded. Catella over Esperanza, 34-18. Saltil's lost to San Juan Hills, but that's not bad. San Juan Hills, pretty good team. They lost 42-7. Villa Park, this is what you want to see. After getting demoralized by Mater Dei last week, I mean, Mater Dei hung 63 on these poor guys. They hang 42 on Trabuco Hills, 42-0. They shut them out. So Villa Park right back on schedule. Nobody's going to come close to Mater Dei this year. Just understand that, okay? Just Bosco. That's it. Maybe the St. Francis team might get a couple touchdowns, but that's about it. Northview over West Covina, 49-7. Northview continues to roll on. They're 3-0. Culver City over Peninsula, 60-21. Nice game, Bob. Nice game. Nice game, brother. Okay.
That's a good school.
Yep. And we have Western defeated Baldwin Park 41-0. Bob, your boy Davidson over there.
Western's getting revved up again, aren't they? Yeah.
Well, they have to. They lost quite a bit last year, especially their stud quarterback. I mean, how do you replace, 5,000 yards passing and 1,000 touchdowns in a season? How do you do that, Bob?
Well, Coach Davidson, we know, we've talked to him, great head coach, and he was able to replenish that, right?
It takes
that's
time.
Good. And once you start creating that atmosphere at the school, all the kids want to come in and play for you.
All right, continue on. Cypress over Bellflower, 42-7. Cypress jumping into the No Love Club. They're 3-0. They're having a really good season so far, Bob. You might say their competition has been suspect, but the fact remains they're killing it. They're doing what they should do against teams that might not be as good as you. Continuing on, Lawndale lost. That's it. Lawndale moves into their number 9 position, and we were looking at some of the Sierra Canyon stuff. And of course, Ocean View gets into the No Love Club at the number 10.
At that Ocean View.
Yeah, well, listen, man.
Had a good year ago.
Huntington Beach, they've turned that program around. They've really not had a lot of success in football. Let's just call it for what it is. And now they're up there, man. I mean, they're playoffs last year, and they're firing all cylinders. And again, they're doing what they should be doing. If you're a good ball club,
That's
you
been
should
a
be taking it
basketball,
to
baseball school for a long time, so it's good to see football kind of get up there and get a little bit of on the page as well.
Yep. Hey, Randy, you want to come up here and let's just go through. We'll go through the games of interest here in a minute, but I'm interested to hear what's going on. Rosenblum's still honking. Isn't he still honking Narbonne's horn? And
we just heard about that. I said, is Centennial still the third best team in Southern California? And Randy over here almost, he's ready to flip out over that. Narbonne, is that the?
Well,
what you wanted to
when they
scream
have
out?
the entire roster together, and when they're motivated to play, Narbonne's as good as anyone. We saw it a couple weeks ago when they weren't motivated. They lost to Lone Peak. They also didn't have Treshane Holden, their great wide receiver. He's going to go to Alabama. He's finally eligible. He performed a little bit last week in their big victory. So yes, Narbonne is amongst the elite. I think they can play with anyone. When they're motivated and whole, they appear to be both now.
All right.
Interesting. I thought it was just they played St. Paul this week, and that's a big challenge for anybody. I mean, come on, man. St. Paul's good, but they're such a tiny school, man. They're such a small school. I don't expect them to do much against a giant like Narbonne.
I would agree.
They're not Grace Brethren. Not yet.
No.
We don't even know what Grace Brethren is yet, man.
Schools are Grace Brethren right now.
Those guys came out of nowhere,
Right?
man. They just have.
Crazy.
They've been building up to it, but
Absolutely crazy.
this may be the year they break through completely. They've been CIF champions, and I'm talking statewide,
Yeah, I know.
So we've got to see them play.
We'll find out.
All right, Randy, why don't you just go ahead. Let's kick up. We're going to talk about these other games. Let's just go into the city section right now. That's
All
what
right, I
we
got
wanna
my
talk
top 10.
Let's
You
do
already
it.
previewed it. It's Narbonne ranked number 1 after their big victory. Yeah, over St. Paul. What I liked here is Jack Brown rushed for over 200 yards. A week ago when they lost to Lone Peak, they didn't have any running game. So they started to win the battle up front. Jack Brown did well, and that balanced their attack, and Jake Garcia hit his first 10 passes, and they completely controlled the game. They blocked up front. That was the difference. Obviously, the coaching staff got into them after their first loss. I have them number 1. Number 2, San Pedro, which has to go to Bell this week. Our producer, Larry Zaval, is excited about that. He's a Bell grad. But San Pedro hung 77 on Taft. They scored 49 in the first quarter. 49 in the quarter, had 4 pick sixes.
Sure, that wasn't the Mater Dei game a couple weeks ago
What
against
happened to
Centennial? It
Taft?
was like 21.
I keep asking you every
28-7.
week, what happened
First
to
quarter,
Taft?
man.
What happened to Taft? There's gotta
The
be something.
administration has really downgraded football there. When it was Troy Starr there, it was a phenomenal program, but it's really dipped, and it's really kind of sad to see him give 49 up in the first quarter. And I talk about Josh Ward every week. I think he's been the best player in the city section so far for the Pirates of San Pedro. 5 touchdowns. He rushes for 3 of them. One of the pick sixes was his, and he also had a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. 5 scores again for Josh Ward. He's a great defensive player as well. Number 3, I have San Fernando, which knocked Franklin right out of my top 10. Franklin, they were 117-0 to the good on points scored and not given up coming into the game, but San Fernando was ahead 37-0 in this game, won 37-7. San Fernando looks very impressive.
That's right,
Really like the way they're playing.
I think
Take
San
issue.
Fernando should be number 2.
Well, I think
I told you
San
that
Pedro's
earlier.
played a little tougher schedule. We're going to find out as the season goes forward. San Fernando gets Dorsey this week. Now, historically, that's been a very good game.
Dorsey
I
goes
don't
down.
think so. Dorsey's down. Bob's right. It's not going to be a good game. I think San Fernando wins it handily. Westchester over St. Bernard last week, 28-12. Trey Samuel, running back, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 2 scores of 80 and 90 yards. The Comets, playing without their quarterback Carter, who should become eligible in the next week or two, still just playing great football, undefeated. I have them up to number 4, but they will get tested this week as they go to Banning. Canoga Park, a 55-20 win over Grant. They've outscored their opponents 141-20 in their 3 wins. Garfield falls to number 6. They fell out of Rich's No Love Club. They lost El Rancho 35-34, and it was sad because they had a 3-touchdown lead and they let it slip away. Now they have to go to Crenshaw. So if they don't win at Crenshaw, I'm knocking them out of the top 10 next week.
Well, you know, Rancho has a tendency to lull people to sleep this year. That's their whole thing. They talked about that.
Yeah,
I
they
seen
did
the
a
play. They're going to lull you to sleep. They're going to let you get 3 touchdowns up real quick, and you go to sleep after that. Then they pound you.
Yeah, they did a good
Yeah,
job
they
because
need
they
to do
really
that.
lulled Garfield to sleep. I put Reseda back in my top 10 after they beat Cleveland 36-6. Ugly game. Reseda wins the cup. They're the best team in Reseda. They closed down that double wing T of Cleveland High School. Mohammed did have a 77-yard touchdown run, the only score for the Cavaliers. But really, Reseda ran to the football well and looked really impressive defensively and offensively. A couple good wide receivers. Martinez is terrific. So is Rhodes on the perimeter. Very good football team. Trent Butler is the quarterback. That's a good football team. But Reseda will be tested as they go to Palisades, who I have number 8. Palisades hammered Granada Hills after an early season loss. The Dolphins have bounced back to go to 2-1. Reseda Pally's an outstanding game. Number 9, I have Birmingham, which was beaten badly by Chaminade 41-14. Of course, Chaminade is coached by Ed Croson, the old Birmingham coach, and him and Jim Rose, the coach of Birmingham, currently are very good friends.
You know,
And Croson clobbered
Chaminade's
them.
surprising in a way, remember? Because they gave Calabasas, I believe it was, what was it, 13-7?
Yeah, it was very
Yeah, it
close.
It was a very close ball game, and you know what Calabasas is all about. They play ball over there.
Yeah, but again, I think Ed Croson's one of the great coaches. He led Birmingham to 4 city titles when he was there, and he humbles his former school, big 41-14. And the 10th team I still have at Fairfax, they were idle last week. 2-0. I'm really not sold on them. I said that last week. We'll find out this week. They have a very good defense, but they go to Eagle Rock, and the Eagles can score. And I think Eagle Rock, if they win, they'll jump back into the top 10. I actually expect Eagle Rock to knock off Fairfax at home this week. I like the Eagles.
Interesting.
I got to talk basketball, high school
do it.
basketball. New coach at Fairfax High School, Reggie Morris Jr. He was at Pepperdine. Before that, he was an assistant at Loyola Marymount, former coach at Redondo Union, where he won a state title in 2013. He's the only one, along with his dad, father and son, to both win state titles. Reggie Morris Sr. won the state title when he was at Manual Arts back in 1988. Father, son, and now he's back in the city. Reggie Morris Jr. played at Westchester, so it's very cool that he comes back into the city. He gets a very good Fairfax team, which is the defending LA City Section champions in the Open Division. They're going to be a very good team, and I think Reggie Morris Jr. is going to get it done. Last ad from the city, and I can throw the notes away.
All right.
Palisades won the city championship in girls volleyball last year. I'm not sure it's going to happen this year. Taft is ranked number 1. Pally beat Taft in the finals last year. Taft got revenge. 3 straight games. Taft number 1. They beat Palisades this past week. So that might be a harbinger of things to come. The West Valley very strong in girls volleyball. Taft number 1. Big win over Pally.
Good to get some good Taft news finally.
Yes,
Yeah,
after
finally,
what's
huh?
going on with the football, that is really good.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to some of the key matchups this week. And man, the last one we're going to talk about is real big, but let's start off with San Juan Hills taking on Edison. And what I like, Bob, about the preseason is you get to see games that you normally won't see during the year. You won't even see them in the playoffs. And this is one of those. San Juan Hills has been an up-and-comer for a long time. Edison, long time established. Coach White, that is, retired a few years ago. but Edison's still having some success. This game's going to be pretty good. It's going to tell me a lot about Edison and San Juan Hills.
I really like San Juan Hill. This is a program that's been coming up year by year. Really some good linemen that have come out of this school, but now they've got some good skill players, and I really like this program. I think it's a real up-and-comer. Tesoro kind of took that step down. Tesoro was that other South County school that had been up there. They kind of took that step down. I think San Juan Hills in South Orange County is now kind of filling that spot right behind Mission Viejo now. I like San Juan Hills actually big in this game.
Well, it's going to be interesting no matter what. It's going to tell us a lot about where these two schools are going to go when the regular season starts. We'll see, man. There's a lot of good schools, especially where Edison's concerned.
Well, they just beat South Hills. San Juan Hills just beat South Hills.
Yeah, they did.
That's a big win on their schedule because South Hills has been a very good program in the San Gabriel Valley there for a couple of years.
South Orange County is just a battle, no matter how you slice it. It's just a battle. People slaying people every week.
A lot of good football
I don't want to
going
be
on
down there right now. Okay, Long Beach Poly Sarah is the next game we're going to look at. And this game, you know, for years you'd look at this game and think, wow, this game's going to be great.
Right.
But, you know, not so much anymore. Poly, just the luster off that program since Coach Lara left is gone. It hasn't come back yet. Sarah, they're a lot smaller school, but Altenburg, as you mentioned earlier, you know, always has his team ready to go every year.
I expect that game to be competitive. I saw Long Beach Poly when Punahou took it to them earlier in the year at Moore Park, but you got to remember Punahou had played 5 games going into that.
There you
Long
go.
Beach Poly really wasn't ready for that game. That was unfair. Then they bounced back. Poly won last week. I know Sarah's a good football team and should be favored, but Long Beach Poly, they got their quarterback situation finally straightened out. I think they're going to play better. I think it'll be close. Sarah's the favorite, but Poly's got a shot in that game.
Picking Poly?
I would go with Sarah, but I wouldn't be shocked if Poly pulled it off.
All right.
Poly's got just as much swagger as anybody around. They got just as much swagger as Sarah does, you know. I'm sure when their guy catches the winning touchdown, he's going to go to every camera and say he runs a better route than that other guy said he did last week, which is fine. You need big egos in big games. We'll see what happens. I'm not looking for any change. I think Sarah's going to win this game. I'm not looking for Poly to change their luck this year. For the team with the most talent, it just seems like they just don't do enough to get over the hump. Long Beach Poly should be a top 10 team every year. It hasn't been for quite some time. Ever since Coach Lara left, they haven't been
like we
up
talked
to
about.
snuff.
I mean, 27,000 kids that go to Long Beach Poly, right?
There's
I mean,
a lot. It's about 6,500.
But seriously,
they
right,
have
that's
two
right.
campuses.
Over 6,000
two
kids,
campuses
right.
to house everybody.
I mean, come on. I mean, this is a school that every single year has been good in every sport.
Yep.
Go up and down the list because you have that many kids. So for that to see their football program come down, boy, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, interesting. And the Moore League, you know, just has a lot of schools, but it reminds me a lot of the city section where the resources just aren't there for a section that's big and a league that has typically most of the schools in the Moore League have 5,000 or more in them. You'd think there'd be more resources, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, but Poly has started slow before. The last time they won a CIF championship, they lost to Narbonne 50-0 early in the year, and they were able to turn it around and go all the way, change their style, became a running team, and they won a state title. I think it's conceivable that this football team could get very good by the end of the year. Again, you're looking at that first game against Punahou when they were punished 45-0 by a very good team from Hawaii.
But yeah, a 5-game head start, Randy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's tough to overcome.
That Poly team had a kid named John Smith on it, who we know now is Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that team had talent, but Poly's. But you know, Bob, Poly's never devoid of talent.
No.
There are players on that Jackrabbit team. They will do well. They'll win the Moore League. They'll get better. They'll get their shots down the road against some of the best.
We'll see what happens. South Hills is taking them in Monrovia this week in the San Gabriel Valley area. Man, you got two strong teams going at it in that area. And again, you don't usually see these games in the preseason. People decking each other, but people want to get to the state. The best thing that happened was the state having a regional playoff, because now you really have something to play for instead of just hand-picking a team a committee thinks is better than another. I'd rather see it decided on the field who represents SoCal. South Hills, Monrovia are two teams that could represent SoCal in that mid-division somewhere. It's going to be an interesting ball game. I know South Hills got beat last week, but they got beat by a very good team.
Let's see if they can bounce back, right? Let's see if South Hills can bounce back.
Just the way Villa Park did.
Monrovia was just a couple of years ago. They were winning CIF titles, came down a little bit. Now they're right back. The cycle came the other way again for Monrovia. So I agree with you. I think it's a very good matchup between two good SGV teams.
Yeah, I've just been seeing Monrovia up there for so many years. I know they had that little lull, but they have another program that's stacked every year.
All right, taking a look. We have Orange Lutheran this week, guys. Olu.
You know, they're
Narbonne.
playing- there we go.
Narbonne. So, Randy, I'll let you start this one off.
And then I got some thoughts too.
Well, Narbonne hasn't played a home game, so they're used to being on the road now every week, and they're going to play on the road again against Olu, and I think it's a game that Narbonne really wants to win. They want to play a Trinity League team. I believe they'll be prepared. I think they win this football game. I think they win it by a few touchdowns. I know Olu's pretty good. It's going to be difficult. I think it'll be tough for a half, and then Narbonne will pull away. As long as they can protect Garcia and establish a running game, I like Narbonne.
Now, Bob hasn't been a big fan of Olu this year, and I'm not saying he's sliding them. He just said they're not going to be as good as usual, for some reason. And so far, they really haven't been as good as advertised.
They're young. They're just so young. I mean, the injury bug bit them across the board a year ago. Coach J.P. Presley. I mean, you could see him at the end of the season. Just the whole season was just on his face at the end. You could just tell what else can happen to us. Well, you throw that season out. You had your top quarterback and your top wide receiver, both D1 prospects, weren't able to play in certain parts last year. Turn that now, a lot of young kids. But I'll tell you, I was talking to our good buddy Dan Albano with the Orange County Register, and he opined that maybe Olu could be the third best team in the Trinity this year.
But who do you like in the game?
It's up for
Who do you
grabs.
like?
That was kind of
Well,
interesting.
do you think Olu's got a shot in
I
this
think
game?
Olu has a shot in this game. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say Narbonne wins the game. But I'm going to say Olu plays them tight because I just think it's a Trinity school. You always have Trinity athletes, and I want to see this. I'm very interested to see just how good Narbonne is because I think this is the first test for Narbonne to show just how far they've come.
All right.
They've got their full complement now.
We'll see what happens, man. I'm not picking anybody. I think it's going to be a tie, okay? But I really want to get to this game because we're running out of time here. Mater Dei's taking on St. Francis Academy, Maryland. Number 1 against number 2 now, okay? And then later on, Mater Dei will be number 1 again and play number 2 Bosco again, and then they'll play again, okay? And Bosco may beat Mater Dei in the first time like last time, and then Mater Dei will be number 2, Bosco be number 1, and then they'll play in the finals. They may swap again. It already happened last year, my friends, and I'm just repeating what happened. So you may have deja vu. I like Mater Dei against anybody this year, including Bosco. That's all I have to say about this game. St. Francis Academy is very good. Max Preps and these other guys are touting Katy. What are those? Houston? Some team in Houston, Texas. Man, they got blown out already, man. They don't play anybody out of the state of Texas. How can you crown them national champs? What's wrong with you? Go ahead, Bob. What do you think?
I just don't see anybody close to Mater Dei.
Thank you.
Maybe that might include Bosco. And I know it's crazy to say. That sounds crazy. And I feel like I'm crazy saying it, but that's how good Mater Dei is this year.
These polls are regionally based. That's why I don't like them.
I think St. John Bosco is going to win the national title this year.
All
That's
right.
how good I think they
Kiss
are.
at that,
Now,
man.
that
Randy
being
and Bob,
said,
kiss at that.
that-
You picked
that-
Narbonne to win the title too, man.
I thought they could play with
Yeah,
them. I didn't say
I'm
they'd win
kidding
the
with
title. I do think that Mater Dei will win this week. I think Bryce Young is a winner. There's no question about it. Terrific quarterback. We'll see if he ends up with his commitment to USC, and I think he'll get him over the hump this week. But down the road, I like DJ, and I like St. John Bosco, and I like their line, and I think they're going to do
This
well.
Mater Dei game's going to be on TV somewhere. We got to run, man, but good job, guys.
Randy was probably saying to go to UCLA.
All right, Randy, on behalf of Rose and Bloom, Bob, don't leave me hanging like they
got
leave
you.
Brady. Richard Stray here saying so long from your friends here at the SoCal Prep Report. Be sure to check out some games this weekend. There's tons of good. Adios. See you next week.